Hey everyone, welcome to the Game Week 8 review video, and we have a bit of a special review here today as we have a guest joining us. This is actually a close personal friend of mine, Peter Armada. He was actually, when we were talking about this last year, when it was all around my wedding time, he is part of the party. So he is a legit close personal friend, but not only that, he is the round 8 winner of Serie A fantasy this week, as I'm on his team right now, not mine. I did not make a bunch of random transfers without telling you before the game week started. I kind of wish I did to this team, but this is number one in round 8. And so I thought this would be a great opportunity to have someone on. We've done stuff like this a long time ago when this channel focused on Canadian Premier League before Serie A. But obviously, big Serie A fan as well, as you can tell, a Milan fan by his background. Um, and we're gonna actually make this team the number one team in the round, the main focus of the video, and maybe I'll dive over to mine afterwards as well. But what we can see here is a score of 118, and a big factor for the people that did well this week basically had either Colpani or Cataldi after they scored a brace in the Fiorentina versus Lecce game that ended 6-0. What has driven you to have Colpani on your team out of everyone, or how long have you had him for?
Yeah, great question, Dan. Thanks for having me. Love the channel. Honestly, like Kopani was a pick for me day one. I had him since the beginning. I felt like for his price and the points based on how I saw him finish last season, kind of how a lot of experts were talking about him, I thought, okay, he'd be worth it in fantasy. And I also wanted to get on the Fiorentina bandwagon early because I really liked the way they finished last season strong with that Conference League run and kind of in the season to get that Conference League spot again. So I really wanted to be part of Fiorentina. So I thought, okay, Copani would be a good pick for that. Now, obviously, he hasn't been putting up much points until this week. And really, it was just one of those situations, honestly, where he was just buried on my bench and wasn't taking up too much money. I had other priorities to try to fix my lineup. And this week, I saw him going up against Lecce, and I just thought, you know what? If there's any team he might get some points on, maybe score a goal or two, that's the team to try. So I just threw him in, and it ended up paying off.
That's perfect. I brought in a Fiorentina player this past week too, but it was not the correct one, as I brought in Guzens for this week and got subbed off in the second half, so I didn't get the second half clean sheet, but still 5 points. And then we know Moise Kean got injured and has some kind of sprained ankle going on. So your Fiorentina player outmatched both of mine this week. So with coming first in a round, that comes with getting a jersey from the Serie A fantasy site, which is cool that we do have a free site for Serie A that does have prizes. Is there any news as to how that's going? Have you reached out? What's the process for this? Or let us know.
Yeah, definitely. So first of all, like I was saying to you before, like I was completely shocked that I won this round. I've been playing Serie A fantasy. This is my first full season playing it, and I've been doing okay, as you know. But like even you've been ahead of me most of the time, and I've been in the league with everyone else watching this channel, and I'm like midway in the pack, nothing close to the top. But this week, all the stars aligned. So once I realized, so I kind of realized that after Sunday night, where the only game left was the Monza and Verona game. And I just was at number one after the points updated. And I saw and I thought, okay, no one around me really has many Monza or Verona guys. So I kind of had it locked up. So I looked into the process and they had advertised under the rewards or I think it's reward section on the app to email them and you get the jersey. So I sent an email and I basically said who I was. I showed a screenshot of my team, my name, and I said, "Hey, I think I'm the guy who won the round. If there's any free jersey prize I want to collect." So I can confirm. Once all the round points were calculated, so they took a whole day to do it. So today, on Tuesday, when people are watching this, I actually did get an email directly from the site, and they said, "Congratulations, you won the round with my name." And all they asked for was a lot of personal information, name, first name, last name, phone number, shipping address. Then they ask for your jersey size and your favorite team. So the one thing as of right now I'm waiting to hear back on is if I had a choice of which jersey I could get. So obviously, like every Serie A team, there's three kits that they have for the season. So home, away, and the third kit. So I'm going for I'm trying to see if I could get from my winnings the Milan third kit for this year, the charcoal with the green. I think that's just a unique kid, and I think if I could not pay for it, that'd be awesome. But
For
I
sure.
also put in my email that if I can't get that one, I'd be okay with the traditional red and black home kit. So still waiting to see which kit I get, but I have got confirmation that for winning the round, there is a kit on the way. So it's just to answer your question, just a simple email back and forth, and then they should be sending it right to me.
Nice. Were there any worries that somebody randomly captained Mota on the last day and somehow passed you?
I have to admit, I remember saying, especially to a coworker of mine who's in our league as well, just individually with us, that there's no way somebody catches me. And then when I saw Mota score those goals, I was like, oh no, I'm like maybe I jinxed it. But I had checked and like nobody in and around top 10, top 15 had any of these players, so I got lucky that way. So
That's good. Well, we're happy for you here. I mean, thanks for all the information. No one else will need it as I'm going to win the next 30 game weeks first overall every single week. I'll have one of each club by the end of it. But no, that's awesome. And to think like we're here, it shows this is out of almost 24,000 people.
yep.
So to be number one, that's pretty cool. But yes, I'm glad that you brought up that I am still ahead of you overall on points. So that
For
is
now,
key
yeah.
for now. And you're just copying my captaincy choice. So you're clearly taking some of my advice to get these roles.
Well,
Um,
when you're making smart decisions, like it's easy to follow, right? Retagui or Retagui, however you pronounce. Oh, he's been unreal, on fire. I gotta
yeah,
start getting him
there's
in my other fantasies as well. Champions League, this guy's just scoring goals left, right, and center.
Yeah, he starts hot and then there's this period of time where oh my gosh, he's not even starting anymore
Yep.
and now he's back and he's definitely thrown us for a roller coaster, but I definitely think worth holding.
Yep.
But while we have you and we don't, this is the first kind of guest that we've had on the channel, so I'd like to make the most of it and ask your opinion on some other questions, some things that I'll probably go over in tomorrow's team selection video. But
Mhm.
just to hear your thoughts as well, and I know you already have one of these players in your team, but if you were making, let's say you're using a wild card right now, and you had to choose between having either Lautaro Martinez or Marcus Thuram in your team, with everything to be considered, the amount of points they've got so far, the amount of points you think they get in the future, and their overall price points, who would you be selecting for your team right now and why?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I'll be honest. I've been thinking about this myself a lot lately. When you consider the price and the return, I think it's pretty clear that the logical choice right now has to be Turam. He's been arguably the Serie A MVP, right? Hands down. And
I
he's pretty
agree. Yeah.
consistent. His minutes are good in terms of fantasy and return for that price. So I think he's the logical choice. However, if people are paying attention, so I got fortunate this week again that Lautaro scored. I've had him in my lineup the entire time, and he's been one of those guys again. I just haven't had a reason or I've had more other things to focus on rather than taking him out. But if you look at his lineup minutes and his contributions, last 4 games, 3 goals and 1 assist. And he's the kind of guy that once he gets hot, you could probably bank on him to get some goals, especially in the big games. As any Milan fan out there knows, he scored against us a couple games ago, right? So I would say logically today, if I'm picking, it's got to be Marcus Thuram. But moving forward, if people are looking for someone who might be getting hot at the right minute, I think Lautaro is a really good shout.
Yeah, let's hear for people that are much more savvy on the Premier League fantasy. They just give me that reminder of the Holland Alvarez kind of combination where you have like the really expensive one that you're trying to bank on, and then the one that kind of undershadows him but is always contributing as well. So just kind of get that old vibe from him. Obviously Alvarez has moved on, but anyway, we'll stick to Serie A from here. That's just my little comparison. But yeah, I think I tend to agree with you. And with the Moise Kean injury, I'm thinking I'm going to want to bring one of them in. Do I want to bring one in right before Inter plays Juve? Not really. Um,
Yep.
but it might be worth because I know those two players doesn't matter who they're playing; they need to be part of the starting lineup. So,
That
um,
and that that was exactly my thought going into this next week. Is like you said, okay, Juve, like even as we're recording this, they had a loss against Stuttgart today, red card, whatever, in Champions League.
yeah, thanks for the
But
reminder. I appreciate
yeah, well, I
it.
had to get it in there. Big win for Milan. But anyway, but when you look at their defense, they've been solid, right? So if anything, you're looking at that Juve Inter game thinking, okay, maybe clean sheet points on my mids and defenders if I have Juve or Inter players if we get a 0-0 draw.
Mhm.
But like a Lautaro or a Thuram might not be the best week if you don't have them ready to bring them in. But in the future, yeah, definitely. Like you said, can't go wrong with either. Maybe Thuram right now, but Lautaro's definitely getting hot. So we'll
Mhm.
see. We'll see past this week.
Yep, fair enough. And then the last question I'll ask you is going ahead into this game week, do you have any transfer plans? Is it a roll? Are you, I don't, didn't actually check how many free transfers you have banked, but what are your plans for this upcoming week?
Yeah, so I only had the one banked. I haven't really rolled in a while, actually. I am thinking of the future in the move I think I'm going to make this week. I'm actually looking at, if you go to my bench there on the bottom, Pellegrini, he's taken up quite a good chunk of cash, and he's just sitting on my bench. And if
Yeah,
you,
it's a good
if
pick.
you're anyone who's been following Roma, they've been very streaky. He's been streaky. There's been some days where he's had some returns, but lately hasn't been convincing. So I think what I'm going to be doing is looking this week to drop Pellegrini and go for a more costly mid. One guy I was kind of eyeing, I think you have him in your lineup, ironically, but that's not why, is Man from Parma.
Yep.
He just offers good returns, really, really cheap price. And the way I see it, it's kind of a 2-for-1 because I can get him in my lineup and hopefully they play Empoli this week, weaker opponent. Typically, hopefully he can get back on the score sheet. Even though he kind of had some down minutes in the last match, I think he'll bounce back from that. But if you get him in your lineup, I'm also hopefully getting a return while saving money for a future move. So that's what I'm kind of balancing. I think I'm going to drop Pellegrini, save some money, get a midfielder who's more costly, effective, and hopefully get some points and then give some room for the future, I think.
Yeah, I had to listen to people in a group chat for the people that had Mon from the start, and every week they're just cashing in on points, cashing in on points, and it was kind of like that. Well, I didn't start with him. I don't want to get him now, kind of feeling. And I felt like,
Yep.
fine, I'm just gonna dive in, and immediately when I get him, sits on the bench to start the game, and then he gets subbed in
Yep.
for a low pointer. So just be aware of what you're getting into, but I don't think he will consistently start on the bench. He seems to be a very important player in the Parma team. So I can see that him getting back to the lineup. But yeah, I think that is a problem. Player 7.8 is a lot to take up if you're not overly confident in him. And Roma had the good fixtures from the start. They were top of the fixture at the start, but I had Sula and he did nothing this time. I still don't know if he has a single attacking contribution from him either. Um,
Yep.
but yeah, so this is the overall number one team from the week. Retegui captained 24 points. Lautaro Martinez has a very similar midfield to me, except he had the golden boy of the week and I didn't. Obviously, I could see you having Pulisic. Are you just waiting out the 2 game suspension for Teo Hernandez for the most part?
That's the plan. He played Champions League today.
Yeah.
So he's still getting his minutes and staying fresh. I think I'm going to hold on to him for another week. And then when he comes back the week after, he's worth every penny of that
Yeah, I
transfer
almost feel like
cost.
once he's back from suspension, I feel like I would have to get him back in. But I don't know. I just didn't want a 7 mil defender sitting on my bench for 2 weeks. So we'll see what happens and see what the fixtures say from there. But good returns
Yep.
all from the defenders. You had key thing is the defenders are all playing 90 minutes for you that you have there, whereas I have some that got subbed off. Actually, it was nice to see DeMarco not get subbed off for once. Cambiaso didn't get subbed off. Really, actually, my only one was Guzens there. And maybe I'll just do a quick flip to my team to see how we compare. And so, yes, much smaller numbers than we just actually still not a terrible week, 95 points. I'm going to be pretty happy with that.
Yep.
Where was it? In the round, in the top 400. So, I mean, I'm going to take that every day of the week, and I'm in the top 740 after being 1,400 starting out the week. So, a good little jump for me there. Also had Suzuki in net. It finally looked like the right week to start Suzuki over Spieler, and then Spieler edged him out by a point, which was a little disappointing. But a lot of
I
good.
could have had 119.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of good defensive scores across the board. In place of Kolpania, Hadman, who unfortunately didn't start, and therefore probably could have done better just by starting a Yildiz or something. Keen with the halftime substitution only gets 3 points, and very happy that I've stuck with Retegui with the top three of Atalanta, Retegui, DKT, and Lookman, it's been kind of like a little bit of a shuffle who's going to be there, but now it kind of seems like all three of them are starting in like an attacking three lately. So hopefully that continues and it doesn't get all messed up with Champions League in the midweek. But I'm not going to run through the 3 teams like I normally do with this, just because this is a bit of a longer review video, but just to kind of see who our top players are at the top of the league. We still have our leader who is still well in the lead and used to be 3rd overall, is now 7th overall. So dropped a little bit. Our number 1 player from Cyprus is still top of the league, but not have the most points. Ooh, did a wild card. Interesting. Anyway,
Interesting.
but yeah, any other things you want to say before we call this an episode?
I just think I think going forward it's going to be interesting because we got some big matchups coming up. It's always interesting when you have to when you like you said when you have like a Milan Juve or a Juve Roma. What do you do with your mids, your defenders? Are your attackers going to return? So still a lot of game left to play, but I think it's going to be a really interesting finish. Does Napoli keep doing going the way they're going? Can Inter get back into it? Is Juve going to finally leak goals in games. Like it's a lot of questions left. So it's an exciting Serie A season. I think that makes fantasy a lot more exciting as well. So I'm looking forward to that. And
Also,
looking
one
forward to
last
your
thing
videos
that's
about it.
notable is this is going to be the like after this weekend is going to be the first midweek games of the season that are Serie A rather than Champions League.
Mhm.
So a little hard sometimes to juggle that kind of rotation that's going to be occurring where you might see second keepers being chosen. You might see depth midfielders starting and more prominent players like your maybe Lautaro Martinez or Kvaratskhelia or other players starting on the bench instead. So just something else to look out for. So this isn't a double game week necessarily, but more games in a short period of time, and they're all Serie A games rather than them being Champions League games.
Mhm.
All right. I think we're going to close it there. Thank you very much, Peter, for joining us. Congratulations again, and do hope to have you on again another time. Maybe next week you can celebrate my winning of the round. Okay.
Thank you
Anyway,
very much, sir. We'll see you soon.
take care.